So if you saw my short where the queen was piping, here's the rest of the story. On May 30th, this single had swarm cells in it, and I couldn't find the queen, so I just destroyed all but 2 queen cells. I planned on going back in like 5 to 7 days to destroy any additional queen cells that they will make. But I forgot. So fast forward to June 9th, and I'm out vacuuming cucumber beetles off my squash plants. Yes, you heard that right. And I heard the swarm start. And I realized, oh yeah, I was supposed to deal with this by June 6th. So I walked over and to see if maybe I could see where they land and hopefully retrieve that swarm. They went up, and then they went up a little bit more, and then they looked like they were going to settle way up there in that canopy up there on one of those branches. Because why would my bees go down here where like all the bees that I see on YouTube go? Mine have to always go up into the stratosphere for whatever reason. So I figured I'm not getting this one, and I went back to, you know, what I was doing. Then all of a sudden, I heard it like getting louder, and I'm like, what? So I look over, and it looks like they're coming like down. And I went back over to the bee yard, and I'm watching them, and they were coming down lower and lower, and, you know, just as they poured out of the hive, they started pouring into the hive. So they returned to their hive, and you know, that happens sometimes for whatever reason. You know, they just temporarily abort. Something's not right, they don't like something, and they just go back into the hive. And it almost always is temporary. So I went and I had lunch, and then I came back a few hours later, and I went into the hive. I figured the least I could do is destroy all but one of the emergency cells, you know, and at this point, that would just be damage control. So I go in, and there she was, and she started piping, and you know, I mean, I've seen a virgin queen, you know, before. I've seen a few of them, and you know, I've heard piping coming out of hives a few times, but in 13 years, I've never seen the queen actually piping. You know, pretty cool stuff. Now that I confirmed a queen, I went and destroyed every queen cell I found, because this will prevent any cast swarms from happening, which, by the way, that's exactly what this was. This was a cast swarm that I witnessed. Now, in 10 to 14 days from June 9th, I'm going to be going back into the hive, and I will inspect and hopefully confirm a laying queen. So there will be a part 2 to this whole saga. And for those familiar with my videos, I try to be, you know, as authentic as possible. So I will literally set up a camera and start inspecting. I'm not going to know the outcome, you know, ahead of time. We're just going to find out together. You know, I've never gone luck. You know, let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. You know, maybe I'll do it live. Either way, stay tuned for the outcome.